We will take no further time getting underway. As I told the team in Lebanon, I know there's a tremendous amount to say this morning. We've even gotten underway in the waiting room with some of the concrete material facts. A little housekeeping. We'll put you on mute just to make the quality of the call better, but feel free to unmute yourselves if you have questions or comments as we go. This is meant to be an open discussion. As many of you know and participated in, we covered sort of a broad look at the Holy Land, including a snapshot of some of the difficulties that were being suffered in Lebanon only a few weeks ago. And I was shocked as anyone to be sort of whiplashed back to our beloved part of the order because of this devastation that occurred just a week ago. Marwan will be telling you, directly about the enormous outpouring from the order and from around the world. And we're here to certainly encourage more and give you the information that you need for yourselves and to engage others. The story of the order in Lebanon is long, storied, and wonderful, and the pressure on them continues to grow and mount. And I think you can take tremendous confidence from the work that is being done there, and very importantly, inform yourselves and those you know that might be interested or able to support the order in Lebanon. And that goes for your family, your friends, Lebanese diaspora, just people who visited and know. Lebanon has a way of getting into your soul that is unique and special, and now is the time, I think, to draw on that understanding. So let me just, I don't think Clemens Meerbach is on yet, but I assume he'll be joining. He's an important voice in this discussion. We're very blessed to have him just leaving Lebanon after a number of years looking after the very significant Malteser International work with the Lebanese Association, a great collaboration, and he will be taking over the helm at Malteser International soon. So to have that sort of body of knowledge and awareness of the situation at this juncture is a tremendous blessing. But on hand right now with us is Marwan Sehnaoui, who most of us know. He's the president, long-standing and much loved president of the Lebanese Association. His two right hands, right and left hand, I guess, Oumayma Farah, who is on the Order's communication board, but she serves in any number of capacities in Lebanon, helping directly with the work, but very specially with as a envoy and as an ambassador of the order inside and outside of Lebanon. And Patrick Jabre, who has had many roles. He's currently the vice president of the Lebanese Association, but very importantly, and as many of us know him around the world, he's been responsible for the tremendous success of the Jabre camp project, and at one point was in charge of the young. He's also a member of the government council of the order. So with no further ado, I will thank everyone for taking the time to be with us this morning, and with a particular welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. These meetings, have been extremely important in becoming a group, a body that can really be knowledgeable and aware of the global work of our order, and particularly intense situations as we've experienced in this extremely memorable year. So welcome everyone, and Marwan, I will hand over to you and your team to take us through what is happening on the ground now.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for saying such good things about us. We're just humble people, and we're doing what we should as concerning our mission. In fact, this apocalyptic explosion that happened should not put us in forgetting that Lebanon, since more than 10 months, is day after day living a drama. When the economy and the finances and the social climate just collapsed. And since months, day after day, the population is all over the territory suffering of misery and slowly after of hunger and lacking of everything that a human being with its dignity deserves to have: health, energy, food, education. And we can go on that for a long time. The order already at that time has doubled its efforts to be able to cope with this disastrous situation that even in the civil war, we never faced. When you could consider that 60% of the population is today living under the level of poverty, and when you consider that day after day they're lacking over everything without any kind of help from the government and the state, and then when suddenly such an apocalyptic explosion arrives, well, it's difficult to consider that it is a cherry on the cake. When out of an incident that nobody could think that it could happen that way, in a fraction of seconds, you have 300,000 persons on the street because their houses are out of function. They can't stay in that, it's over. You have close to 180 persons dead just in a slight moment. Have 7,000 injuries. And then no one is responsible. So what I would say that having you all there to hear a story maybe that you have heard with TVs and all the news. This is in a big way what Lebanese people are living since months in a different way all over the territory. I'm wondering whether we should be happy that this thing happened, maybe to put the light on a much bigger problem where agony is the slow agony every day. Lebanon is living an everyday slow agony. So I'm wondering if we do consider that it is the Lord, it's the Lord cross Lebanon, because Lebanon is the Holy Land. And Jesus preached here, and his mother has waited for him here. And I do think that he is holding the cross of Lebanon. And we're walking with him as an order, just holding a little bit of this cross to go up to the Golgotha. And we're walking with him, and the order is one of those courageous people who had at that time the will of holding that cross with Jesus up to the mountain. But behind that, Jesus came up of his tomb. And this is where, in a desperate situation, we find the strength of and the courage and the will with all the team of the order of being on the ground 16 hours a day, happy to be able to be at the side of our Lord for a better world. There is no better world without sufferance and without coming back to the real values of love that we talk about in the order. Love is something that has been ignored by the world because for them in the world, those who take the big decisions are more interested by power, successes, possessions. And the way, and when you talk about word, you're just a piece of antique something that has nothing to do with the modern world. But this is exactly what the human being needs to be able to have hope in a better world. And we, in the order, which means you, have this very strong feeling that in those sufferings, we are giving the chance to say, love will save the world. Our youngsters that my friends and colleagues will be talking about are just a demonstration of that. Incredible. They're going around in a disaster place. Disaster, there is nothing. Nothing anymore standing up. And here they are with their smile, with their capacity of distributing love before distributing food or reconstruction or things. Because human beings we have seen here, give them a smile, give them a hand, and then give them the rest. Give them the rest without giving them a smile or a hand. They will take it because they need it, but they will not be filled with something that will give them the capacity of resisting to that disaster. So I think that the image of the order, thanks to God in Lebanon, is such an image that it's all going around the world. Because big international institutions are just wondering and seeing what the order is doing on the field. And that is much thanks to all those of you who are standing by our side, which is giving us the necessary energy to pursue our mission. You know, Lisa, when I begin to talk, I hardly stop. So I will stop because I think that Oumayma has things to say and Patrick has things to say. So this was just a little introduction about the reason why you should think that we will never, never drop our mission. Whatever it does cost us, we have chosen to serve. Definitely we didn't knew it could be so difficult and so hard. But then we feel comfortable in the decisions we have taken. And today, rather than waking up in the morning to say, how are we going to cope with this? How are we going to develop? How are we going to bring in new persons with new qualifications? Well, we don't think of that. We just do it. And we do not think, do I have the power or the money to do it? We think, let's do it, and God will help us His way, through you sometimes, or differently. and we will move forward. Yes, I think that all the energy that you can lose to think how you're going to do it is the lost energy. Let's just do it. Now, I would be happy to give, sorry, Patrick, but as she's a lady, Oumayma will pass before. Please, go ahead. Thank you for hearing.
It's very difficult to take the floor after such inspiring and emotional words, because we're still very vulnerable about what happened, and the strain of everyday work. We need to keep the strength and the hope to be able to give more hope. So pardon my emotions. I think it's important to lay out the first response, the 1 week after 1 week of the Order of Malta on the ground. You probably all know the outcome of this explosion within the context that President Sehnaoui already put, that the country is facing. 5 major hospitals in Beirut. The main hospitals were damaged. 3 of them have to close. Approximately 12 primary healthcare centers also are damaged. This is without 35 schools that also have been damaged, and this is only in the vicinity of Beirut. So 300,000 people have lost their homes. Our response on the moment of the blast was to open our primary healthcare center, the nearest one to Beirut, in Ain al-Rumeni, to be able to alleviate the strain on the hospitals, because people were rushing to the hospitals. There was no electricity. People were being operated in the gardens of the hospitals under the cell lights because there was no light. We are suffering from a crisis of electricity, from a garbage crisis, from all kinds of crises. We are living in chaos. So our first response was to open our primary healthcare center to be able to alleviate the load on the hospitals and call for people who have mild injuries to come over. And we stayed open till very late, actually, till the next morning. And then the next day, we had to adapt to the situation. So we deployed our mobile medical units. We have 6 of them from the extreme north to the extreme south and the big region, thanks to several donors that we have, and 3 of them are from Malteser International, from the German government, and these were deployed day after day, two at a time, in the most impacted areas, to be able to screen again the people that needed stitches or change their bandages, but as well the people that need chronic medicine and treatment. So for the whole week, this is what we have been doing, rotating the mobile units in order to treat people. In just 5 days, we treated approximately approximately 2,000 patients in the mobile units. And this is one of the response. Another quick response that we did, and that most of you are familiar with, is the Jabre Center. You know that this year we were not able, unfortunately, to have camps because of the COVID. So what we did is that we set up the Jabre Center as a shelter for people that have lost their homes, but not only as a shelter, as a welcoming home for people to heal their hearts and souls in a safe and serene environment. We have adapted this also with mental health professionals to be able to accompany the people with trauma, especially young children. Volunteers are there also to follow them and offer activities for children. The center will stay open and receiving people till the end of August, but of course it's extendable. And of course we have taken all the safety measures, imposing a PCR test for all the families before going up to the center. We have also, it's full accommodation and free of charge. We have also set up a mental health support in our center in Ain al-Rumeni with telephone consultations as well, so that people feel free to call in anytime when they have the need to talk about the trauma that they have been in it. And the amazing response was coming from our youth volunteers, 300 of them. They are growing by the day. They started cleaning the houses with brooms and with nothing much at hand, and started, it was a ripple effect. People started to call and join and join and join. And so they started cleaning the houses, moving the rubbles of the destroyed homes. They started calling for donations for ready-to-eat food, because a lot of people have their kitchens that are damaged, so they cannot even cook food. So this is why we are offering hot meals and ready-to-eat food. Today they had an amazing initiative, which is they were roaming the streets of Beirut on a bicycle with white roses, spreading a message of peace. And we have also young volunteers coming from other institutions such as the Imam Sadr Foundation, working together, because we are also going through a very difficult political situation. And as President Sehnaoui said, we are living a change in history, probably in Lebanon and in the region. This explosion is a culmination of so many things, and it's a turning point. What we need to do is to protect the identity of Lebanon and bring people together. And so we are going on a crisis on such a multiple levels, political and financial and economic level, that we are actually in chaos, but we need to have the strength to be able to stay focused and be able to give the hope amidst the chaos. We had a team of experts from Malteser International with an expert from Pierre Fabre Foundation, our partners that came, and they are still actually here to assess the situation, to assess what the next steps that need to be done. Most probably, and this I will leave to Patrick to explain the next steps that we will undertake for a long recovery and a sustainable recovery.
Okay, thank you, Oumayma. Yes, I will jump on following up on what Oumayma just mentioned. I want to really salute the fantastic response of Malteser International, who joined the next day of the blast with a team of 4 people, led by Oliver Hotches. They had an expert on logistics, an expert on WASH, and an expert on communication. I have accompanied them in few of their trips. We actually went to the epicenter of the blast, tried to look first and mainly at the Ministry of Health direct damages. We met with WHO. We tried to position ourselves, and this is something very specific, as trying to help where no one else is helping. Because as a matter of fact, it has been the chaos. Even with all international help that is coming on the ground, there has been in the first days almost zero coordination, and people were kind of duplicating. There was no synchronization, and what we decided to do was to synchronize with WHO and Ministry of Health, and try to see where can the Order of Malta be the most effective, where no one else is currently effective. And after a few days, we reached very clear conclusions. We will be actually helping in the renovation of destroyed primary healthcare centers, some of them heavily destroyed, some others partially destroyed. We will be offering lots of sanitary boxes, because most of the people forgot the COVID-19 crisis. And unfortunately, we have seen in the past few days a huge spiking of this virus across the population, with some, unfortunately, fatalities. And then we realized that this is exactly where part of the effort of the Order of Malta should be. The other big area that no one is covering, or very little people are covering, is mental health. And this was briefly mentioned by Oumayma, but we have decided to enter into this area, and Malteser International will send additional experts, mainly specialized in mental health. There will be 3 other people joining as of today and tomorrow. And we will take, together with the Ministry of Health, we will actually try to identify the area where the Order of Malta will be most effective. On the other hand, we have also identified another area where we could help, which are the post-trauma treatments. Lots of people, more than 5,000 to 6,000 injured people have lost part of their limbs, they have lost part of their muscles, they have broken their hips and broken their legs and arms, and they will need physiotherapy treatment. And today, very little people are looking at this. So we will try to, as Order of Malta, through our centers, try to very quickly offer these services to the population, free of charges. The youth efforts have been tremendous, really. Our president, Nour Mghabrab, is the one leading the effort on the ground. She has an amazing spirit, an amazing momentum. She's very well structured, and she's offering a fantastic guidance to all these youth. And I want to answer a quick question that was raised earlier. Some people were asking, well, we want to come and help. We were used to come and spend a few weeks of summer in Jabre. What can we do? And I want to salute this tremendous effort internationally that has been, that we have witnessed from around the world. People from, I will not name the countries because I don't want to miss one of the countries, but youth from around the world has asked to come and help. And basically, I want to just, first of all, thank all these youth and all these delegations, but most importantly, say that the help, if it's not structured, is not effective. It's very important that that help does not become an additional burden on the association and on the youth. So for that help to be effective, people need to have completely organized themselves, their traveling, their housing, and the way they will actually be eating every day, because we cannot actually take care of volunteers when our priority is to take care of sick people and injured people. So if all these conditions are covered, then eventually we can direct these youngsters to our president, and they will operate under her leadership, the president of the youth, Nour Mghabrab. So this is what I wanted to say. I will not extend additionally. We are working on the ground 24/7 and looking at organizing, structuring all the help and support that is coming. We have, on one hand, we are gathering and collecting all the donations that are coming, and on the other hand, we are collecting all the demands that are arising from the population, from hospitals all the way down to individual people. So we will have some kind of a marketplace where we have on one hand the donation and on the other hand the demand for help. So I return the floor to you guys, and thank you all for your prayers and your fantastic support.
Thank you, Patrick, Umi, and Marwan for that enlightening and succinct description. I think it's safe to say that none of this would have been possible had you not been so thoroughly on the field for so many years, and really understanding, as Marwan put it, that to some extent the explosion just has shone a light and brought attention to a dire situation. But in true order fashion, true to our mission to serve our lords, the sick and the poor, you've now been able to accelerate your activities. Before we open the floor generally, which I'd like to do quickly, I'd like to welcome both Clemens Merbach, who I already introduced to you all, and immediately the Grand Hospitaller of the Order of Malta, who I also noticed is taking time away from his holidays to be with us. So before we go further, I'll ask for comment from our Grand Hospitaller and Clemens, and then we'll open the floor. I think you're still.
There we are. There we are. I think you hear me now.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, Lisa. Clemens also. Hello. What was amazing, and I'm thanking Oumayma, Marwan, and Patrick, is that on the 3 levels on 3 different levels, they have told us, well, in which the country has It was already a shock for us already last November, when we should have done a state visit just a few days after the first demonstration started in the street. And since Lebanon has been very close to our heart, as it has been for quite a number of years. But what I would like to say is that we have been very impressed, and it was very well reminded by Patrick, by the concern at all levels, as entities of the order, associations, or as volunteers, as youth groups, as those who come to Jabre, those who come every year to Lebanon, who work with Lebanon, was a fast and immediate response. And now it's not just a mechanical response, it's a response from the heart, and it's really to our mission. This mission was very well reminded by Marwan, who says that we're just not only handing over help, we are part of the help ourselves, being close to the mission that Christ has given to us. It was so well reminded that it is first a look, a smile, and then a hand before giving. And so it gives another dimension to what we're doing and how we're looking after the sick and the poor. But here in this dimension, which was so sudden, it was amazing. We were nearly all on holiday, enjoying surely some good time. And then suddenly it just burst out. Look what's happened in Beirut. And this is maybe the consequence of technology, but there were so many little short films, videos. And just seeing the first blast, the white blast, was really something. But then it was incredible, the second blast, which shook everybody to the ground. We could see cameras falling on the ground and so on, and shouting and screaming. And so I must say we were on the field suffering at the same time, because we all have friends in Lebanon. And I'm sure that Marwan or his team had so many calls, emails, and hoping that there was enough electricity to get all the messages of high support. I see that the idea that Patrick explained very well, to choose areas where the others don't go. This is very typical of the order. Do the work, don't be on the scene, just do it. We're not on a stage. We're just doing our job, everyday job, enthusiastically, like Patrick said, by the young, but also choosing these fields where we have already some experience. And it was very good to remind that working for health centers, post-trauma, mental health, are fields which people don't speak about. But traumatism, after such a terrible shock, a terrible explosion, which has torn apart families, which were already in a very difficult situation, pandemic as everybody, but also this economic and political issue in which Lebanon is. Working on these fields, especially with WHO, you must all know that we have an EMT, emergency medical team. I don't know if WHO will use it. They used it a few weeks ago and asked Malta's International EMT to go to Cameroon to help the Ministry of Health to organize prevention against COVID-19. They might be coming as so, but these are fields where we can be very efficient. So I really want to thank you all. And I've got so many messages coming in from members of the order, from friends of the orders, from other organizations who are all trying to set up some support for Lebanon. So keep our friends in our prayers, keep them also in efficiency and in our works. And please don't forget, it's just starting. It's going to go on for months, this thing. And so please always be there. And thank very much Marwan, Oumayma, and Patrick for all what they're doing for the benefit of those who are in need, and also for the benefit of the Order of Malta. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those words. I think that one of the things Oumayma and Patrick and Marwan have conveyed to us at the Global Fund is the tremendous outpouring from the Order family. We thank from all of us, the Global Fund, but most importantly from those in Lebanon, for all those national associations who have already set up campaigns and ways for support to reach Lebanon. It means a tremendous amount, and I know every day more organizations are reaching you, and this kind of conversation is very helpful. Clemens, do you? I have already given you such a great introduction that you missed, but we'll let you join the conversation now.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Lisa, for this very kind introduction. I had to do food packages for my children, so now they are fed. I can join this conference. I was daily waiting for it. First of all my prayers and my heart are with my friends in Lebanon. They are not only friends; they are family. And I'm not taking haste to come and visit them very, very soon. Now, as talking for Maltese International, I want to say there is, at least on this battleground in Lebanon, there is no Maltese International, there is no Lebanese Association, there is just the flag of the Order, and we combine the forces of MI, of the Lebanese Association, of the youth, of the German youth, of Caravan, of all these entities, in order to strike together, to march together, and to strike together in these difficult times. This also is for concerns fundraising and communication. I don't mind where the funds are going, but they have to reach to the place where it's needed. And I'm not only talking about the next weeks and months, I'm talking about the next decade. And even if we can bring some healing to Lebanon, we have to see that the whole area where the Christianity has been born, where Christianity is coming from, will need a clear statement for Jesus Christ, for his message and for his wonderful news he brought to this area, where it spread all over the world. And I'm ready for it, and I cannot think about a better team than Patrick, Oumayma, and of course Marwan, under the umbrella of the Order of Malta. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clemens. I know that we have a number of people who have experience, a number of people who have questions, who visited, who are part of the family, and I'd like to welcome you now to just unmute yourselves or send us a note that if you have a question or comment. Well, I will. I'll take the opportunity to cold call someone. Is that Stefano?
Yes. Yes. Can you hear me, Lisa?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. I was, as everybody else, very impressed by the several interventions, emotional, operational, and some questions raised in my mind, quite natural, connecting to a hint made by Uma to the political situation. There are far more competent people than me here to discuss about humanitarian and to contribute about humanitarian intervention. But as a diplomat, I'm extremely interested to what is going on now. What are we expecting? Uma said that we are at a turning point in Lebanon. The government is demissionary. What next? Are we going towards elections? Are we going towards election with this system? Would be a good idea, or is it debated now in Lebanon the idea, as some political scholars say, to move towards a less confessional political system would be a good idea in order to de-escalate some tensions that are in some way ignited by this fact that the confessional element is so present in the structure of the Lebanese political system. So I would like very much to hear something about that. Only one point concerning the humanitarian aspect. It has been said, of course, it is quite natural that the attention is concentrated now on what can be done on the spot. This is quite natural. But the order is extremely spread and wide spread in the world. I'm also wondering whether it is possible to think at the medium term to something that we can do in our structures in Europe, for instance. And I think that we should perhaps plan in a concerted way, because as it has been said, help needs to be structured and planned to be effective. And I think that a reflection on that maybe should be worthwhile. Thank you very much.
Well, Stefano, first, good day or good evening. I'm sure you would have better heard Oumayma, but we have decided that I should answer your question. But before, I just wanted to thank Lisa, the Grand Hospitaller, and Clemens for their words. They come directly to our heart. And they have understood the way we can move forward. And their position at our side is for us also a lot of courage that we receive from them, and thank you for all of you. Stefano, our policy today, I will answer your question, is the human being. We are not motivated about tomorrow politically because tomorrow is unknown for many reasons. I will explain. If we concentrate on that, then in a country so complex than Lebanon, without willing, we will lose the strength we can put in the human being who is our only policy. He and his dignity, whatever the differences exists between religious matters or political matters. We're just aside of that. But if we have to go to your answer to your question, identity. Losing its identity means losing its Christianity. Losing its Christianity means that the Holy Land where Christianity was born, there will be no more Christians, no more free Christians. Can we as an order, because you have said the order, accept that the land where Christ was born, where he served, where Christianity was born, could we accept the principle that this Holy Land will have no more Christians? Today, we need food, we need health, we need energy. But first, we need not to lose our identity. Why could we lose our identity? Because, as you know, because you're all people alert on political and regional policy, from one side there is West, and from the other there is East. If today those who cares about having a free place in that part of the world have or not use their possibilities to forbid that Lebanon is taken or taken by the Iranian and Syrian move, then we are not anymore the same country. We are not anymore the Lebanon message of St. John Paul II. We will lose that. And as St. John Paul said, the world will lose that. We're not heroes. We're, as well as what in Lebanon, in the name of the order, is not for Lebanon. Lebanon is an instrument in this part of the Holy Land to serve the order. This is our bigger risk. To do that, it is reproducing what the Holy Father did. St. John Paul II, at that time, he said to the United States, stop trying to destroy that country. It's not a country. It's a message to the world. Today, there is in the world the Holy Father, because he cares for Christianity in that part of the world. There is France, because always, since St. Louis, going back through de Gaulle and all the rest, has been protective of this identity of Lebanon. And there is people like Germany and others who have always been helping Christianity to stand up in Lebanon. If those voices together says to the world, whatever sufferance Lebanon has to take, we will not allow its identity to change, then already we have done a very big step. And if the two muscles of the area, which are the United States and Russia, are aware about this message from the world, then we have already a first step accomplished, which is knowing that we have to take sufferances, but we will not lose identity. Now, what's going to happen on the ground? For me, it's details that I could have ideas, but they're not in the depths of the solution. The depth of the solution is deciding that the world thinks that Lebanon, where there is still free Christians in a minority, will stay free in that part of the Holy Land. Now, you're not without knowing that our frontiers are completely open. You're not without knowing that in Lebanon, there is an armed state that doesn't belong to Lebanon. All those people running Lebanon does not belong to Lebanon, because their capacity of defining a nation doesn't exist, or their capacity of respecting a citizen doesn't exist. This is why Lebanon is in chaos and collapsed. The answer to this is what we've been seeing in Lebanon. Today, the Maronite patriarch that you know, Farah, you came to Lourdes and celebrated a big mass, is calling for neutrality for that. Neutrality means guaranteeing the borders, putting all the weapons that does not belong to the Lebanese army out, putting all those who have been ruling Lebanon up to now in a disastrous way, if they're not in jail or burned, go home, and give free chance to all this Lebanese clean people who have the capacities of building up what we're waiting after the Golgotha, the resurrection. The answer to this is trying, A, to keep up giving hope, waiting for what Lebanon can't do by its own. This is what the order does with others, telling the population or the youngsters, don't leave this land. Lebanon needs you. Please don't go. Especially the Christian of them who for the first time are leaving. Please don't go. We in the order have no problem with the Christian or with the Muslims. We work equally with all of those. We respect equally all, because we respect the dignity of every human being with their differences. But we tell them, please, don't go. We will show you the way of standing in your own country, giving you hope and giving you love. Then we ask the community, Stefano, you have been asking about that. Please tell the nations to protect the identity of Lebanon. And if they do, take your time to choose what solution you will find for Lebanon. We will suffer and wait, because there will be a resurrection. Today, never as today, the danger of losing our identity has been so big. And this, if we don't say it loudly, we have not served our country. But as a president of the order in Lebanon, I do not allow myself anything that could, for the enemies of Lebanon or of the order or Christianity, I will never allow them to say that the order, under its humanitarian action, is a silly political actor. No, this is not my job. My job is to protect the order. But as a citizen, you're asking me a question. My answer is very clear. And I do not see another possibility than the one I just said to you. So we're praying for that, but we're acting to keep hope up to the moment that that solution will raise. Thank you.
Thank you, Marwan. You, in that answer, you talked about the details, and I know we have a question from Gavin Boyle pertaining to the socioeconomic situation there and the order's role. Can I call on Gavin?
Yeah, Marwan, I think everyone here has been either visited, most if not all of us have probably been through Lebanon visiting some of your projects. And you highlighted at the start that unfortunate as it has been, or disastrous as it has been, the explosion has shone a spotlight on Lebanon when many of us maybe had taken the eye off the ball a little bit to some extent over these last months with the economic collapse going on. You mentioned that COVID had impacted, for example, your provision at Jabre. So on the ground, you're already having challenges from that in terms of what you were doing on the ground due to COVID. But could you give us a little bit of a sense of the impact that the hyperinflation and the economic collapse has had on the other acts that we've seen have been going on that you've been building and successfully executing for years? So what's happened over the last year from the economic perspective that has impacted what you do on the ground, how you provide on the ground, and how it might need to change the help that you get from outside? Because I'm thinking of provision of goods versus funds, hard currency funds versus other funds. I mean, some of these things, how does that actually, because I'm not familiar with hyperinflation on the ground, how it actually impacts what you would do. It'd just be interesting to hear, what does it mean on the ground?
Well, thank you, Kevin, for that question. First, in 2 words, Lebanon has lost its banker system. Today, all those who have money in the banks are just hostages of those banks and of the system. Today, in Lebanon, some months ago, to buy $1, you needed 1,500 Lebanese pounds. Today, you need 7,000 or 8,000. While the salaries in Lebanese pounds didn't grow, at the contrary, was divided by 2. You have no right to transfer. You have no right, even if you have $1 million in bank, you have to queue hours to get 200 a week. Good. I will not go more in that because we're not in an economic forum. But if we would have accepted that situation, the order of Malta today in Lebanon would have disappeared very clearly. So, thanks God, we found an immediate response to that. And we opened, in the name of the association, an account in February in Switzerland. And we changed our bank in Lebanon, and we went to a bank with whom we agreed on the fact that all what will come from our transfers from that Swiss bank to their bank, they will give it completely to us in dollars, cash if we need it. It means that we secured our work, we secured the donations, we secured the salaries. There is no more salaries paid in dollar in Lebanon. And today we pay more of our salaries in dollar. And we organized this because we reacted immediately. They trusted us in Europe. We have in the US a structure for tax deduction called Together for Lebanon, where its status is allows only to receive money to transfer to Lebanon. We have the same in France, Malta, Lebanon, the same. And we have friends with the Global Fund and with MI. So we are capable to work as if nothing of all this had happened. I don't know if there is anybody else who can do that. This is not important. And it occurs that the bank in which we have transferred our capacity of doing, the president and the chairman of the bank is member of the order. So we're secure.
I don't think it can be overstated the importance of the trust that the order enjoys in Lebanon and the advantages it gives us, particularly at a time like this, where no matter how generous a person might be, particularly outside of Lebanon, one cannot help but be concerned about the corruption that we read about, the distress we read about, the general socioeconomic condition. And because of the Order of Malta's ongoing response to the socioeconomic upheaval, the political problems that they have faced, and the deep service that they provide, have these facilities been set up. So I do think that that is it's a very important intervention, and a very important for us to understand those mechanisms. So thank you, Marwan, for explaining that. I now have the privilege of welcoming a question from Ambassador Khoury. We have a number of ambassadors from the order on the line today. Ambassador Khoury is the ambassador from the state of Italy to Jordan. He joined us on our last discussion of the Holy Land. So welcome back. We're very honored to have you on the call today, Ambassador.
Thank you, Ms. Simpson, and good evening from Amman to all you dear friends. And I would like to start by conveying to dear Marwan, Oumayma, and all the friends of the order in Lebanon, our deepest condolences from Amman for the massive human loss that Beirut endured. That was definitely something very sad, and we hope that with the collaboration and working together, we'll be able to have Beirut rise up from under all this pain and suffering. I just wanted to make one quick remark of Jordan's immediate support to Lebanon. That I would say in 36 hours from the blast, a very advanced field hospital was offering, Jordanian field hospital was offering a wide array of medical services to the Lebanese people in Beirut. King Abdullah II instructed the government to immediately start supporting our brothers and sisters in Lebanon. And the hospital, which is a 48-bed hospital, 10 ICU units, operating theaters, labs, and all supporting administrative and technical systems in place, with 160 medical staff working in it. That was what we felt immediately needed after the blast, especially that many hospitals were damaged or destroyed in Beirut. Today also the first flight of an air bridge of support that is going to transport supplies of different categories to Lebanon landed in Beirut, and we have many initiatives in Jordan to support Lebanon through different mechanisms. It's a massive loss, it's a big human loss, but we are very sure of one thing, that Lebanon has always endured difficult times, and Lebanon has always been very solid and comes back even stronger than before. We all are going to stand by you. We are going all to support you, and you can depend on your brothers and sisters in Jordan widely to maintain the identity of Lebanon, to maintain stability of Lebanon, and to make sure that no one leaves. We're with you, and we pray for you for success on all the efforts the order is doing beautifully and very seriously in Lebanon. Thank you again for giving me the floor, just to make this quick remark about our feelings and about what we are hoping to achieve in order to support Lebanon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Khouri, my friend Faiz. Please convey our thanks to His Royal the King, that we do appreciate a lot for his wisdom and his generosity towards Lebanon. And we know that your people is standing by our side. We know that we feel the same, and we know how much your answer, your quick answer, was appreciated to the level of your generosity. Again, I would have loved that you would have been thanked much more, because you did a huge effort. But unfortunately, yet, we do not have here people governing and capable to thank the way you should have been thanked. So allow me, in the name of my name of the working people of the order who are close to the sufferers, to allow me to thank you and to ask you, please, in our name, to thank His Majesty the King. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have two further interventions. I do note that the time has run beyond our normal 1 hour, so my apologies for those of you who have to leave us, but we will continue, and thank you for those of you who have are able to make the time to remain. Niels Lorgen has a question now.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Marwan and Oumayma and Patrick, for your very clear and also very moving description of the situation. Marwan, you partly answered my question already, but I will ask it anyway to get a little bit more color on it. As we know, Lebanon is, and that's probably an understatement, but it's for many reasons lays at the heart of the order's identity and its religious and its hospitable mission. When occasionally we face catastrophes such as what Lebanon is going through now, I think we have the obligation to come together as an order and as a family. And so my question is a very practical one, is how can every individual member of the order, how can every local association help and contribute somehow in alleviating the situation?
Well, Niels, thank you very much already to stand by our side and asking those questions. In fact, we have been sending a letter a couple of days ago, maybe you haven't received that one, saying what is the situation and saying what are our needs and saying where those needs, if somebody wants to give a hand, could give them. What we need is not human beings around, because as we have said, there is many people going around. We need capacity of giving to those who have lost everything, the capacity of telling them, we are there at your side, and develop as much as we can all the instruments in order to help them out. This needs financement. So as much as we are financed, as much as we have the capacity to invent new projects to add to those we're already doing, this capacity of giving hope to the people. I was not going to talk about that, but it could somehow interest you. Just as we're going through a new experience. Today, the order says we're helping the sick and the poor. Today, the sick is our domain. The poor today are those also who are hungry. 80% of what we eat comes from the outside. How to buy it when you have no right to transfer and no money to buy? Food is health. If you don't feed yourself, you're sick. So we have decided to do a first experience beginning today, which is around our centers, not all, 4 of them. As you know, we have 10 centers around Lebanon. This doesn't count the mobile unit, the elderly, or the disabled. We talk about of primary health. We decided to invite in 4 of them around 300 farmers. They did the 4 centers in the same day to offer those farmers seeds to plant a production with engineers that are helping them. We're offering the seeds for sure, and we're offering the services to do a good production. When that production will come out in your thoughts, they will repay what this production costs them with a benefit that we will discuss with them, and all the rest, the big part of the profit, they will come in our sense to offer food to those who need to eat. So it's a virtual circle where we're processing in the capacity of seeing what is the response, of going into the capacity of food production to be redistributed to those who are in need of that. And I do think that this experience will be maybe the beginning of a big project in that way. Just to tell you what we're trying to do to compensate the loss of everything. And today when the port was destroyed, all the reserves of the grain went with them. So it's a difficult matter. And you know, the point is not to always ask for mendicity. The point when you want to give back its dignity to the human being, it is capacity to feed himself by himself. So that's it.
Thank you for the excellent question, Niels, and for
Thank you, Marwan.
what we will do is certainly work to put together a document for everyone's use with some of the practical ideas that have been generated in this conversation, but also that have been previously written by Marwan and Oumayma. There's an excellent letter on the international website of the Order published yesterday, as well as an intervention by our ambassador, Paul Beresford-Hill, at the United Nations in New York, which we will include in our documentation. These give a very useful information, and we will endeavor to work with the team in Lebanon, as well as with Clemens at MI, to come up with a set of very practical responses and the channels by which, whether or not you choose to use your national association that set up a facility, Lebanon directly, Malteser International, the Global Fund, there are a number of very easy and straightforward ways for people to help. So we'll begin to circulate that after this call. I'd like to call on our ambassador from the Order to Germany now, who has a comment.
Good evening to everybody. Nice to see you. So I have the part, of course, of the answer to Stefano and to another ambassadors, because I think that what we are doing currently in Berlin can be the model of the cooperation. I think that all of my German colleagues can confirm. And during last 2 years, the delegation, Marwan, Patrick, Oumayma were in Berlin, I think 5 times. And it was really very, very important to organize the set of meetings with the most important people from the politics in Berlin. And only the people from Lebanon can exactly explain the situation. We are, as the diplomats, we can do something, but to show the concrete dimension of the situation in Lebanon, only it was efficient, really efficient, as the people from Lebanon came and explained the situation. And to be short, due to the time, I think that my suggestion to all our colleagues from the diplomatic services is to to, of course, I cannot dispose the time of our confrere and consul from Lebanon, but to organize this kind of the meeting, to explain the situation, to explain our needs, and without of those contacts, it was impossible to build this huge help from Germany to the state help of Germany to Lebanon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If there are there any final questions? I cannot see there's 3 pages of participants, so it's difficult for me to see if you have your hand raised. Oh, Kinga, I see.
Yes, if I may just shortly, to give you one of the example, being a volunteer in Lebanon for 11 years, I saw something, and I have a little but my own experience and what we can do, and I believe that all of us can do it on our own ground. And together with our private foundation, we are leading with family and friends. We are about 10 people. It's called the Foundation of Well of Hope. We just spread a message to our friends that in the name of the foundation, we would like to raise money for our friends in Lebanon. And I just wrote a very short message explaining what happened, how is the situation, and that each donation matters. In the first 4 days, we collected 15,000 euro, and we really hope that this amount is going to grow day by day. So if I was able, as a very humble human being, and being not a diplomat and being not a member of the order, I was able to manage this. I believe that all of us can try to do something similar, and together we can do really everything, and then spread our love, show our commitment, and just redirect what we've collected to Lebanon, because they are an expert. They know what's needed on the ground. From perspective of Europe, of United States, it's really difficult to understand it and to help properly. So let's try to do something and then redirect the forces there. And I believe that together we can a lot and we can everything. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank you. I'm allowing myself. Thank you, Kinga. You're a little fighter. You have the spirit, you have faith, and you have fight. After all,
I'm learning from the
order of your father, and your father is a big fighter. I would like to touch you, because in all our sessions in Berlin, you never left us. You were always at our side. You know how difficult it was. And
this is only my obligation, Marwan. This is only my obligation. And
no,
pleasure.
It is not. Yeah, yes, you had put a lot of spirit. And what you're saying is right. If we had time to go around the world and to tell our story, and in the same time to tell the importance of the order, because its capacity of transparency in excellency in what it does, it would have been lovely. I'm ready to go and talk any place. You know, I have a big problem. I never write a piece of paper. I just go with my inspiration and heart. Because a piece of paper, you read it, but then when you read things, it's very difficult to inspire people. It's much more important if you can say it like this. And in Berlin, we never had a piece of paper, only to discuss projects and strategies. But the feelings, I'm ready to go any place. If the doors are open, if I'm asked any place in the world, I will go, because this is my mission and duty. As a citizen, but as a member of the order. Because the order, in my feeling, has in this world today such a capacity of being an instrument of peace. Because the order has no agenda, no personal agenda. What is the country today that has no personal agenda and who is a sovereign entity. The order. What is the country today who can talk in the same time to 18 different communities? The order. Today, the order has an international momentum. The order has to take that international momentum. The order is much more powerful than he believes. To answer Stefano on the capacity of being a peacemaker. So we here in the most complex country, we have tried not to be named after a party or a community. We are free. We ask nothing, we want nothing, but the dignity of every man. We're free. The order is free. Today's world needs a free sovereign entity to give back hope, to do what other countries can't do because they have agenda, a peace making that everybody will trust. This is just also an opinion about what ambassadors could do. Thank you.
Thank you. One last ambassador on our list today, Paul Beresford-Hill, has our final intervention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa and Marwan, Uma, and Patrick. Your discussions today have been inspirational in helping all of us, I think, get a much closer and in some ways a more spiritual perspective on the awful practicalities and pain that are being suffered and experienced in your country. I just had one question and an observation which came from my conversations the other day at a United Nations meeting, which was sponsored by the Undersecretary for Humanitarian Affairs. And it concerns the situation of almost 20% of Lebanon's population who are refugees. A huge number of people who have been made welcome, who have been given a home, who have been given a life and an opportunity in the country of Lebanon. And my question is, how well are we able to take care of their needs along clearly with the needs of the general population in this critical time? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ambassador, for that question. We have a population of around 4 million, 4,300,000, like this. We have around 1,500,000 Syrian refugees, and some others are waiting on the frontier to come in. We have Palestinian refugees. We have Iraqi refugees. If you add all those, we're not far from having more than 2 million on our ground. Right. Those refugees are in areas where already the population is poor, very poor. And they will not go back home. If you take the Syrian refugees, for two main reasons. First, they're afraid to go back home. And second, with what is given to them by the international structures, they will never earn as much as they are given. Today, some of those earn much more their lives than the Lebanese. But the hospitality of Lebanon is such that the question of pushing them back will not happen. There will be, I hope, an agreement for them to go back home. When they will not be afraid anymore to go. That will be a big relax for the Lebanese population, who is very poor today and who needs to work and who needs to be able not to look at the other refugees with the risk anytime, any day of the war of the poors. It's time to find a solution to that problem. It's part of what Lebanons need from the international community. Because all those refugees are a remote bomb. And if that bomb explodes, it's another catastrophe. Because, Ambassador, Your Excellency, those people, whatever they get, like the Lebanese today, they're ready to do anything to give a glass of milk to their child. And when you're ready to do anything to give a glass of milk to your child, anybody can manipulate you to do anything. It's a very big risk. We need them to go back home safely. And we need our Lebanese people not to go into this catastrophic situation of having to be thieves or assassins to be able to feed their children. This is the drama of Lebanon today. Thank you.
I can't imagine using an hour and 20 minutes to understand a topic with the depth and emotion, with the spirituality that you've allowed us to understand this topic better. I wish to thank every one of you because of your concern for Lebanon, your love for Marwan and Oumayma, Patrick, Clemens, Kinga, all those who have been so invested over such a long time, all of you who have visited Lebanon and hold it dear and are wishing to help. This sentiment, this feeling, emotion that you have, we must harness. And I think Kinga probably gave us the best example of all. She's probably the youngest on the call. And to have mustered those resources in such a short amount of time should challenge us to reach out to our own friends, our network, and there are so many ways that we can help. I hope you've gained an understanding of the tremendous trust and admiration that our order enjoys because of the phenomenal efforts of those on the ground in Lebanon.